Okay, so what we have is the interface for the UC1 GEN2. As you saw on screen, we had the IP address of 192.168.43.1, which is the wireless built into the unit. But we're using the 50 range because we're hardwired into our network, just to give you the examples. So this is your landing page. You've got wireless media for Android in progress at the moment. So we have wireless media for Windows. We have a portable version. So this is the portable version. You can then download this onto a USB stick. This will give a client temporary use of the application, as the UC1 Generation 1 had as well, so that you can use that, plug it into your PC, run the application, let the client present. Once the client is finished presenting, you can then disconnect that USB from his laptop or her laptop, and then the application is gone. And then we have the Mac OS application as well. So we can log into the unit. Standard login is admin, and we log into the device. So as you can see there, the unit we have renamed. We've renamed it UC1 GEN2, and this is my tech office, and it's set up as an access point at this point in time. So there's a couple of different ways to do this modification. If you guys have a look in our user manual, there's different modes or applications on how to set this up, depending on how you guys want to do it. So if we just say start modifying, I'm not going to go through the whole procedure because then my whole unit will change and then we have to reset. So here is where you can change the name of the UC1 GEN2 to whatever you want. When you get it out of the box, it'll say ALF-UC1 GEN2 with a long number, and you can then change it to whatever you need to. These will all change as you purchase the devices. They won't all have the same number. So this means when you deploy it for the first time and you're deploying maybe 5 of them in one environment, it will then allow you to distinguish between the products and not just give you one name through all of them. So then if we go to the next selection, this is your mode selection. So access point as we have it right now. So this means we have a hardwired connection into the unit. It uses the access point wireless and the hardwired network as well. This also gives internet access to the wireless access point, so your client can have internet, or you could have internet through the access point of the UC1. You have wireless infrastructure mode. So this means you will use it like a repeater. So this will allow you to wirelessly connect to the Wi-Fi of your office, and then this wireless name will fall away, and then you will only see Alfatron Wi-Fi, basically. So if that's what the Wi-Fi is called. And then the last mode is your LAN infrastructure mode. So this means the wireless AP inside the unit will be disabled, and you will only have connection via the corporate network. So the nice thing is with that is your IT guys or your IT infrastructure guys can set up the corporate network to allow this unit to be seen by the guest network as well as the corporate staff network, and then the clients can then have the access that they need inside the office. All right, so if we go to wireless connection, this is where you can say there's different AP modes on the unit as well. Again, this is all inside the user manual. So if you want to make it an AP mode or a station mode, as we said before, you can link it up to the corporate network. That is possible. On the Ethernet side, we can enable or disable the DHCP on the unit. Preferable that we keep it disabled so that you don't always have the units changing IP address, because this will just make it a little bit confusing for the clients, and that will allow you to know where the unit is at all times. Wired authentication down at the bottom here. So the setup of the wired authentication, again, is in our user manual, and this will allow you the 802.1x version of the network where the corporate networks are very closed up, and you need authentication to bring a wireless device to a wired LAN or vice versa. So that is there as well. Some advanced settings. So this is where we can do auto change of the password. So we've set it to never because we obviously use it very often, but you can have that change from a 5-minute interval to 24 hours interval. Connection password, depending on how strong you want it, you can do 4 digits with zeros in the front, and then the next is 8 digits password. Up to you. We've also got a Type-C network enabled. So in other words, if you have USB-C connected up to your PC, you'll have internet access through the USB-C connection directly through the UC1 as well. On the display and audio, as you saw on the screen, we have 2 HDMI outputs. So we have them on here. You can set them up as auto. They will pick up the edits directly from the monitors, or you can then, choose whatever resolution that is necessary for devices. But what you will see is on the main screen, we have up to 4K, but on the sub output is only a 1080p 60, just so that you are aware. And then there's some HDMI CEC built into the box as well. On the audio side, again, we have the different versions or the different options. So the audio output or the HDMI output, or both of them, if we have the USB activated on the unit as well, you will see a USB option on this audio output as well. So quite nice on that side. The different layouts. So if you have 4 split screens, or 3 or 2, this can be changed as well. So if you know that you only want to show 2 split screens at the same time on the multi-view screen, you can then select 2, and then it'll only bring up 2 split screens and not 4, all depending on how you would like to set it up. The dual screens, the output mode settings are quite simple. So you have a mirroring, so that means it'll duplicate on the main and the sub same image, where whoever is producing, it'll duplicate those images up onto the screen. The mirroring is also an auto default feature if you have only HDMI 1 plugged into the box. So if you don't have an HDMI 2 output plugged into the box, it will automatically push the device to do mirroring, so that you know that you'll never see the other screen and obviously no image, and you don't know where the picture is. Then you have a 4+1 and a 1+4. The main screen is always the first digit. So that means the main screen will have a multi-view on it, and the secondary screen will have a single view. In this option over here, we've opted for 1 on the main view because it's a 4K image, nice and big image. And then on the 1080p screen, we've done 4, or the multi-view. Some native protocols on the unit. So we now have AirPlay screen quality at 4K, which is a new feature on this box. The same with the HDMI and USB-C dongles. They are also 4K enabled now as well, which will then push out 4K image through to the box. We have Mirrorcast options that you can enable and disable, and some Google Cast options that you can disable and enable as well. Home screen option, pretty much like the old box, the dedicated screen that will be a default, and then you can then add and apply new home screen wallpapers at any time, and you can see they're relevant to the size and what kind of format you would like the pictures to be in. So main screen will be up to a 4K image, the sub screen will be a 1080p image with a 1 meg size limit. We do have a new feature which is called digital signage. So if you enable the digital signage on the box, you would not be able to use the auto standby feature on the box, which allows you to do an HDMI sync on the unit as well. So if you've noticed earlier on when we were showing you in the front, we had an MTR sitting there, and then we had the UC1, which we'll sort of explain just now again when we jump back to that side, is that allows you to do auto switching over a switcher or a KVM switcher of sorts. If you enable this, you can then add in your URL that you would like to add in. We're giving you an example there of Alfatron Electronics. You can add that in, and you can then do which days you would like this to be active and the time range as well. And then it will show up after the auto standby time has run down. Underneath the miscellaneous, as the previous one, we had a couple of things that you can do. Show the base name and password when somebody's mirroring. You can show the PC's name. You can hide the IP address if you would like to. Down at the bottom is the sidebar control. So you can make it a large menu or a small menu. So that means a large menu will show the preview windows of who is connected. If you don't want to show those, you can do the small menu, which then gives you no preview windows. And then you can also hide that far away if you really don't need to use it at any time for any reason. If we look at the device control, quite simple, telnet and serial. We've enabled the telnet control in the unit to receive commands. We have an API guide with all the commands in it, and you can go and have a look and check through there. Otherwise, if you want to use the serial control, there's all the setups available for you on the web interface. We do have a button definition on the dongles. So if you have a look there on the right-hand side of the button, we have two different options that you can enable on the button. So one is the USB switching option. So this means if you are doing like we've done here as the example, the MTR or wireless bring your own device, you can then use the button to switch between the USB on the USB-C or the USB through the wireless media application. Or the second option is displaying content sharing. Managing the transmitters, you can see there all the different transmitters that are connected. So two dongles that are paired, the USB-C and HDMI. And then you'll see at the top there, which is two launchers connected. So that's the applications. That's my Mac and another Mac connected on. And you can go and test and see if that works. You can actually go and play and pause from this box here on those launchers as well. UC Manager, this is a new feature similar to the last one, but a little bit of a difference. So now this will be the USB switching hub. So you can also then set it to auto, or you can set it only to the USB-C or only to the wireless. Auto function is defaulted out of the box, and you can change that as you like. On the USB camera and the USB audio, the nice thing is it does not show you anything in the list there, but it'll do a scan of whatever is connected and then drop it down in the box, and it'll give you a preview of both the camera or the audio system as well. System settings, just like the old one, where we've got some date and time in there. We've got languages, we've got the configuration file. So once you've configured it, you can then download that file and then upload that to another unit. The auto standby feature, so we've got it for 1 minute so that it actually shows you, or in this instance, it'll then go to sleep and then it'll go back to the MTR in the room, and that will be your sort of always on screen. Your input video priority, that is the input of the unit in the front. So we can prioritize either your USB-C video or the HDMI video, up to you. You can select it as you need to. The reboot is there as an option to reboot right now, or you can then do every day at 4 o'clock in the morning, and you can confirm those settings, which we've done. And it's actually quite nice because it reboots the box nicely. If there was any updates that happened on the box or anything that happened, the USB devices disconnected for some reason during the evening, the box will then reboot, and then all those things will be available once you get into the office. Factory reset, as we all know, confirm settings, factory reset. Security settings, as we said, we showed you on screen. This is where you can then set them up and select which level of security you would like to put on the box. There's quite a bit to go through here, but you can have a look there and see what is necessary and what is not necessary for you to set up. The login password, as we said, admin. You can opt for no password if you really want to, but you need to decide on that, or you can confirm the password. Once you've confirmed that password, the only way that you will get this back to factory default is the press button at the back and reset the unit to factory default. The firmware updates tab is quite simple. You can then force an update. So you can select the update if you've downloaded it from our website, or if there's a change in the firmware of some sort, or whatever the case is, and you need to update it or force update it, you can. Otherwise, the automatic updates will check for updates, and if there is updates available, it will do the update and then reboot at 4 o'clock in the morning. On other settings is the auto create launcher. So this is disabled at the moment, but if I enable that, the icon that shows on the home screen, which I spoke to you about earlier, you can press that, plug in a USB stick, and then it will do the auto launcher immediately. You don't have to press the button. Clearing history after the meeting. So this will allow you to do the history of the meeting. You can decide, you can say never, or you can say always. This will delete everything from that. The password will change, all that kind of stuff, whatever you've done. If you've uploaded anything from the whiteboard or the annotation onto the unit's internal memory, it will clear all of that up as well. Developer tools, this is for the installer. If there's something wrong with the unit of any sort, you would then come here, you would enable this and download the system logs. You send that off to us, and then we investigate to see what are not working correctly. And lastly is an about the device. It'll then tell you it's a UC1 GEN2, your firmware versions, and then the serial number on the base, which is quite nice. So if this is installed in a rack, you can't get to it, and you need to do anything with the serial number, it's all available there. So this is the user interface. I'm sure you guys will catch some of that information. The rest of the information you guys can have a look at through our user manual that is available on our website.